That's a private barbecue. Yeah. How's it going, fellas?
Everyone said, okay, we're just going to stay close.
Oh, in person?
Jenny, hold on. Looks like dedicated one.
Looks like a nice Memorial Day crowd over here.
You get tired of the barbecue family.
Huh?
You get tired of the barbecue family.
Tired of barbecuing your family?
They're in weak condition, it turns out. White beater on it.
New GPS, don't know where you are. New GPS? Yeah.
All right, let's go. Sorry about that old delay.
It's all right. You don't have to delay. You got enough for
I
your
was not
mother?
late. I was on time.
You got enough for your mother?
Going back to my where did we leave off? Remember?
It's like, you know,
No, that's
somebody else. I have no idea.
I think we're somewhere in Gimel.
got to Gimel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the page with Kimmel.
The same
Yeah,
thing.
you're right. Okay, well, let's start Gimel again. Don't fall asleep now just because there's no food.
Pizza.
Please walk it
Pizza
down.
time.
No, walk it down. It's dangerous.
Okay, Hanekes.
Warm your food.
Yeah, okay, let's start Sif Gimel again. Yeah, I don't know where the rest of the Svarim are.
The guy that went to Israel took everything with him.
Who's in Israel? Oh yeah.
What?
I don't know what happened to the rest of the Svarim. Oh, there they are.
Shmuel said he's gonna be join the Haganah.
Yeah.
What?
No.
He's gonna join the Haganah.
Okay.
It's on the Israel army and he's the target. Duck.
That's where I sit. I sit on that.
Okay. Anyways, Hanekev shemachnis b'satzitza. So the hole that you put the tzitzis in.
Okay, go ahead.
Lo yeh rachel. You want to grab me a towel, please?
I can't.
Thank you. We're getting there. Okay. So anyways, Hanekev shemachnis b'satzitza. Right. Tzitza is singular for tzitzis. String. Right. String. Right. So the hole that you put in the tzitza, lo yeh rachel misfasa beged hein ba'arach hein ba'roichav. It shouldn't be at a distance from the width or from the length of the edge of the. Thank you. No, we don't need that. No more than three fingers width, right? So we're talking. Yeah, Talis. You got Simon Tess Sif Gimel. Yeah, so whether it's the length or whether it's the width, it shouldn't be more than three agudalim. Right? Meaning you measure it here, not over here, where my fingers are fat like the daf on Friday. Right? So that's on the thin part, which is give or take what this talus is, right? The hole is about 3 fingers and 3 fingers. This one here it's crunched up. But
What's with the
Rabbi, can it be less?
we're gonna get to the 2 holes. We'll get
Rabbi,
to 2
can it
holes.
be closer or can it?
Oh, we're gonna get to that in a minute. Very good.
Or does it have to
Okay.
be exact?
Does not have to be exact, right? But it should not be further away, meaning it shouldn't be this way, further up here, or this
Further
way,
in towards.
further in towards the garment.
Yeah, right.
Right? That's how far it should be. Because if it's further than 3 fingers width, then that's no longer called on the corner of the garment. Right? It's too far up into the garment. That's the first thing. And if you did make it Let's say you did make the hole. Let's say you made the hole right here.
Make
So what are you
two
gonna
holes.
do?
2 holes.
Afal pisha kosher es a tzitza, mashach es a kesher u'makmet min hatalas achba nek lamata. Let's say what you did is you made the hole here, and then somebody told you, oh, it's way too far. So okay, so you say I'm gonna just take scissors.
Cut?
I'm just gonna cut the hole down to here.
No good.
Right, that's no good, right? Because we're gonna see tasav aloy mina also. You have to make the tzitzis properly. You can't put them in and then fix it.
It's a big, is no good enough?
It's the beggar, not the tits itself. The tits itself, you constantly fix it.
No, right, just the bag.
So the bag is also in that case? You gotta start over again?
No, the bag it's fine. You have to take it out, take out the
You
tzitzis.
cut a hole though.
You have to take out the tzitzis and put them back in.
I'm saying.
You can have a big hole. There's no law
okay.
that says you have to have a small hole like this.
Okay.
You can have a large hole.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
You can't cut the bag either smaller.
Cut the baguette smaller.
Put the string on.
Well, why would you do that?
Better make between 3 inches. Between 3 fingers.
But then how big is your baguette? You mean cut the baguette right? You can't cut the baguette smaller. That's a good point. Yeah. Okay. Ve'im la'achar shatolas hatzitza b'nekev shu lamala min hashir chotach b'nekev kadesh tidla hatzitza lamata b'gimel. Right. I'm sorry. So I explained the second case first. Back 2 lines. I apologize. If you make it higher, right? So the first case is that, let's say it's like this, and then it's further up, and then what you do is you fold up the garment like this. You fold it up to make it that it's within 3, that's no good. Right? And the next case is if was the case that the way I said it before, if you have the hole over here, and then you put in the tzitzis, and then you realize it's too high, and then you cut down the hole to here, that's a problem. Yeah, because of tasa v'loymena also, which is basically what that means, is that you have to make the tzitzis properly, and you can't make the tzitzis from something that was already made. Meaning, this hole has to be kosher when you hang the tzitzis. Right? If it's not kosher, and then you hang the tzitzis, right? Let's say we hung the tzitzis right here, where my finger is. So that's a puzzle. So how are you gonna make it kosher? By cutting a hole down to here. The tzitzis were there before it was kosher. So that's no good. You have to have the kosher garment first, and then you gotta put the tzitzis. So that's the task of lemons. Fine. V'gam lo yeh hanekev korev l'svasa beged. Now, that's how far it has to be from this side of the garment, right? Now, how close can the hole be to the edges? I mean, we were saying that this is as far from the main part of the clothing, it's got to be this far down. Now, how close can it be to the edge? Can I go to here? Right? Can I go to here? Can I go to there? Right? How far? How close? Right, so then that's a different measurement. The gam, well, back then they wore it. Back then they wore 4-cornered garments. Yeah, but now.
No, but he's asking that you don't become quick to it. But these are the halachas, it's based on Shulchan.
No, but back then they did.
No, if they had a 4-cornered beggar, they had to wear tzitzis.
You say back then,
Remember, clear to wear.
all garments.
Correct, but back then it was a much more common thing to wear a 4-cornered beggar.
This would be a real problem, because it is a 4-cornered beggar, but it's
Correct,
not
right, exactly.
You don't go through how to wear a shirt or can't go through.
You don't have this.
You know, it's a-
There's no mitzvah to wear pants.
Only if they have.
Yeah.
What about the graduation hats? If they're square and they're bigger, what do you do for those?
The graduation hats.
They
You have to
have
put
one of
tzitzis on
those
it.
strings on top.
Yeah, so those are not big enough to warrant tzitzis. But let's say they were, would it need tzitzis?
It's a hat.
It doesn't go on the body. L'chayra. It doesn't go on the body. But you could theoretically, if you wore it on the body.
Yeah.
What about a towel?
They had a slit.
What about a towel? Towel's 4 corners. Right? You take the towel, wrap it around you at the pool.
Corners of my towels are right there.
Or what?
There's a right there.
Well, that's it. You have to put tzitzis on it. It's a real 4-corner.
Right? But it's not, even though you wear it like that, it's not meant to be worn, so it doesn't need it.
It's made to be worn when you're wet.
Correct, but you're not wearing it. You're just using it to dry off. But very
So what
good.
about a poncho?
A poncho could be a problem, except it's made out
Especially
of
because Rav
plastic.
Scheinberg holds that nylon requires tzitzis, because I remember asking him about those nylon mesh tzitzis, and he said you could wear them and make a bracha. So what about rain ponchos?
Yeah, no, a nylon poncho would be a problem. You should, if it's got four corners to it and it's made properly, then you should cut out.
What about a robe?
Cut out one of those corners.
Like you wear, if you go to like a steam room, you wear a robe. Come out of it. That's not
You need
fun.
four corners.
You don't have four corners.
If you slit it up like what the rabbi wears on Shabbos, what the rabbi wears on Shabbos, right? It's got, that's a four-cornered, yeah, Megan, that's all. If you look, right, you have the corner in the back, it's round,
Rabbi,
right?
Rabbi, about the graduation hat, what happened if your head is very big?
Even so, that's not your body, not your body.
You graduated?
Trust me, son, we have a lot of big heads in this show.
College?
Congratulations.
University.
That's right. Good.
Yeah, but even
So you
I don't
graduate?
think that's considered a lavush. It's not
A couple
considered.
years and you'll be ready.
Maybe,
Out of
then
USC.
maybe, could be. Okay, so let's see, Begam, you cannot have the hole close to the edge of the beged, whether it's on the width or the length. So now this measurement is totally different. So from here, from the garment side of it, we said it's got to be 3 fingers worth, give or take, right? That would be this. Yeah. But when you're gonna go, how close does the hole have to be to the edge, or when it's too close, goes from the knuckle till the end of the thumb. Right? What? It is gonna. Yeah. So the price can bring exactly what the shiurim are, but it's give or take. Yeah. Obviously, my hands are pretty small, so but it's much less. See. So if you go here, right? So it would be around this much. So somewhere in between here and here is where the hole should be. Right?
From the edge.
Yeah, somewhere
What about
between
down
here.
this way?
Same thing. Both ways. Somewhere between here and there should be is your shear. Right? Lower than that, what's wrong with lower than that? Let's say I put it right here on the edge. Why is that not called the corner of the bag?
Wouldn't it rip?
It might rip. That's a practical reason. But why don't you just call this the corner of the garment? He says that's not called the corner anymore. That's called under. That's called the bottom.
the bottom.
Well, the bottom. It's not enough of the corner. All right.
It's more so.
What?
It's more so.
Yeah, but ve'im hayanek of racha kishir, right? But let's say the hole, like in this case, right? It is talis is a good example. Let's say the hole is further than the shear, but by pulling it, you shrivel up the clothing, right? Here it's kosher, meaning this is folded up here, right?
Yeah.
It's not the shear.
Oh, yeah.
Becomes smaller. No, yeah, it's too small, right? This is too small. This one because it's folded up,
Okay,
which is what most talesim have this issue, right? It's folded up, but that we don't care about. Right? That we don't care. That's fine because bottom line is it's.
And that's
just
because it's all
folded.
machine made and they don't have like the right.
No, just that's what happened with the nut. That's what happens with the nuts.
Okay.
Right? It just ends up
Isn't it
falling.
supposed to be tied tighter so that that tzitzis doesn't fall?
Yes, that's another thing. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. That really you want to tie it tight because you want it to hang off the side, which we'll get to. Yeah. So it's still kosher. Yeah. So here he has all the measurements in centimeters. What's the difference with the centimeter? Yeah. All right. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. What do you want to say?
Where are the knots on the side of the towels?
Where are they?
What are they?
What these?
Yeah.
We're gonna get to that in a minute. Okay. Right? These things right here, these fancy things, right? That are on the lips, on the edge of the talus, but they're not sewn in. That's these. Yesh suffix im nimnadu l'shir zeh alo. It's a suffix. Maybe we should count this as part of the garment. Right? Al kain tzrichen l'chotcham misham kaidem kshir zatzitzis. You got to cut it. Hence, there's none of these over here. Anybody ever wonder why they stop by the corner? Right? Because we don't know whether this is considered part of the garment or not. So if you have
So they've
them
had
here-
those tassels forever also.
What?
So they've had those tassels on their towels
Yes.
forever also.
At least to the Kitzur, who was what, 150 years ago, 160 years, more than that? About 100. When was it written? It was written before the Mishnah or after the Mishnah? 100 some odd years ago, but they must have had it for well before that. Right? But I think it's just for design. That's what it's there. That's what it's there for. But either way, that's why if you ever wonder why on the talus it stops, that's the reason.
That's part of the garment. It wasn't added. It's part of the garment.
Never wondered that.
Never wondered that?
No, honestly, no, never wondered that.
On Simchas Torah, you must not have tied enough men's talais
I
into
have
the chair
enough
by
I have enough things to worry about. Never wondered that.
I've done that.
Well, that's when he
For a
wrote
book,
it.
and somebody else.
That's
And they
more
work together.
More than, older than the Mishnah Berurah.
Yeah.
They don't
Right,
do it.
but anyways, Betalis cotton noigin kitzas line. Okay, one sec.
I know.
Okay, okay. So Betalis cotton. Now, what's with the? Where did he go? He asked about the 1 hole, 2 hole. Where is he? We're about to answer your question. Okay, right. So Betalis cotton. We got some chassidim here. You have 2 holes, 2 hole tzitzis or 1 hole? Anybody know? Anybody have 2 hole tzitzis here? Chassidim.
I do 2 holes.
You have 1 only? 2 holes. There you go. Chassidish Yid.
I have 2 holes.
You're a Chassidish Yid, or you just stop at 2
Chassidish
holes?
No, Chassidish tefillin, talis and tefillin.
2 holes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the talis katan noyeg in kitzas. Some people are noyeg lasa shnei nekavim zeh itzel zeh, 2 holes widthwise, not lengthwise. Right? Your holes are they're next to each other, like going with the width of the garment. Right? Kemoy tzere, like a tzere. Right? Anybody remember what a tzere is? 2 dots under the right. Yeah. And they put into the both holes the tzitzis and they hang out from the talus on the outside. Right? Now the reason to put those 2 holes is he doesn't go into it. What?
Is there a difference on the outside or the inside?
Yes, it's supposed to be on the outside. If you wear it inside out, I don't think it's a problem, but the meaning is to wear it, the tzitzis hanging on the outside. Right? Now the reason for that is because
We're gonna talk like that. You can't tell if it's inside out.
what? No, you could. If you have 2 holes, you could
But
tell.
on that you can't
This because this doesn't have 2 holes.
tell. I know, but you can't. but
Why?
How do you tell?
Why will you never see it? Why is you tell us gadol 1 hole or 2 holes? 1 hole. There's no such thing as a talus gadol with 2 holes.
How do you tell inside out?
What? You can't. The talus gadol only has 1 hole. There's no such thing as 2 holes.
Why not? If the
I think
talus
I've
katan has 2,
seen,
why
I
not?
know.
the talus
Actually, I
katan?
think I have seen.
But why not?
Oh, so the reason he doesn't go through it, and I'm surprised on the bottom he doesn't go through it either. So the reason why do they have 2 holes? Because if you don't have 2 holes, I don't know which way this talus goes, but either way, your tzitzis are supposed to hang off the side of the garment. Most people are not aware of this. Right?
Mix up the iron and the right.
Well, on the talus, but on a talus cotton, it's straightforward. Right? On a talus cotton, I'm too fat to pull out my tzitzis. But anyway, on a talus cotton, so you go with the lengthwise. Okay, how do we go? How does this go? Let's say this is the talus, this is the edge of my tzitzis.
Fringes on the iron.
You're supposed to
Iron
hang,
is on against our width.
correct. You're supposed to hang the tzitzis off the side. They're not
That's the
supposed to
wrong-
be
that's the wrong
hanging
way.
down. I'm just saying if this would be the edge of your tzitzis on your garment, on your regular, right? This is
Cotton.
on your talus cotton. So your tzitzis are supposed to be hanging off the side, which is why, David, that's what you were saying, that you, in order to keep them on the side, because gravity makes them fall, right? So you're supposed to keep them on the side. So what you do is you pull down the knots and it shrivels up the garment and then it stays. right? But it's not supposed to be down. What?
They're not made with enough room for it to come off the side. Like this is how they sell it.
That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a mistake. Yeah, that's a mistake.
So we're not getting the mitzvah tzitzis every day?
You're getting the mitzvah. Not ma'akev. You're getting.
I'm out of here.
You're getting.
Maybe you just put on sideways.
No, almost nobody. I'll tell you, you don't have to look.
I've never
Almost
seen
nobody's just hanging off
I've
the
never
side.
seen this in my life.
No.
On the side.
Okay.
I
almost
always
nobody-
check out the other people's talisim.
There you go, right? So yours off the side. Yeah, you're a holy Jew. But anyways. I didn't mean it to make a joke. I was serious.
They're not kosher, but.
Anyways, if you have the two hole tzitzis, you don't need it to go off. There's nothing. It's already hanging off the side. So that's why they got smart. Somebody somewhere along the line, I don't know the history of it. Maybe you Google that. See when two hole tzitzis started. Somebody got smart and said, "Hey, if you have the two hole tzitzis, then you don't have to worry about it hanging off the side." To which many said that that's gaiva. To do that shtick is gaiva.
What do you mean?
To do the two hole shtick, it's like why can't you do it like everybody else and keep your tzitzis hanging off?
What do you
the
mean?
side?
If I can do it a better way and make
What?
sure it's kosher all the time, wouldn't that be better?
Make sure it's what?
If I could do it in a way that it was kosher all the time and I didn't have to worry about it, why is that gaiva not just doing it a halacha?
Okay,
Make
so
everybody-
it's a good
make
question. I'll tell you another example.
You can afford two.
The
holes.
ritzuas of the ritzuas of the tefillin, right? So you know the new invention is to have the ritzuas black all the way through,
On both sides.
right?
Hmm?
So old school
Straps
people
are
say
still
that's
black
never
on
the
both
way it was done, and you don't think they could have figured out the gedolim of earlier generations couldn't figure out that to make their ritzuas black all the way through. You think they couldn't figure out 500 years ago the two holes? Right? Okay, whatever. No, but that gases they would have had it, they didn't have it. That's different than coming up with a new Eiffel. Come on, they could have had the black ink. They soaked the
technologies.
Whatever it is. So I don't know whether it's a good muscle to this or not, but the bottom line is the Shulchan Aruch, I don't know if it's a Shulchan Aruch, but Mishigura says it's gaiva to wear the two holes. So if you're gonna have two holes, he says use the two holes, but don't show the island that you have two holes.
So it's from head. So Hasidim are the ones that know you can have it, and
they wear it out.
Yeah.
But that's why talis. But that's why talis
No
goggle.
one's going over to your tzitzis and looking at them.
You don't know about that. Depends about the lace wigs. But that's why you'll never see it on a talis goggle, because that's wearing it out in front of everybody. That's the background to the two holes,
Then
one
the
hole.
Hasidim should have it double. The way the house cut down anyways, right? So just make the
So the way maybe the way that the Hasidim wear out the talis, wear the talis. Why do Hasidim wear vests? Right, because the Arizal says they shouldn't wear the talis should not be worn outside. So I don't know why that vest only covers a small portion of the tzitzis, right? But that's why Hasidim wear vests, from what I understand, right? Because they're not supposed to wear the tzitzis and the beged out. So
it's covering most of the baguette, right?
Is it? I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyway, so that's the background with the two holes, one hole tzitzis. Yeah. Yeah, but you're still yaitze your mitzvah if your tzitzis were hanging down the bottom. But the proper thing to do when Rav Harfinus came, my Satmar Rebbe came for either my bris or Weberman's bris. So he was complaining. I guess he looked around.
Sounds.
What?
My Satmar Rebbe.
I understand. So he came and he was very impressed with the way the Olam David. That was a 7 o'clock commuter minyan, as we call it. But he said, "What's with nobody having the tzitzis correct in this place?" Right? So I don't know. I guess in summer maybe they do. Yeah, right. He was saying that the Olam does not have. He was looking around. The Olam didn't have the tzitzis hanging off the side. The front of the talis, it's already controversial exactly which way it is. Which way is off the side?
Which way is
The
the
front, you fold it over. The front of your talis, you fold it over, so it's really unclear what's called hanging off the side and what's not.
I'll tell you what, the pilots.
The side.
What?
You're saying once you fold it over.
The tassels are on the bottom or on the side?
I mean, that's
Tassel on the side.
side.
How come they're not on the bottom, Tucker? How come they're not on the bottom?
That's where they have it.
to show you that. Yeah,
But hold
okay,
on, but
maybe.
you're saying if you fold it in, now it's not the side anymore, or what do you say? Let's say the tassel, like this, when we fold it in, the way we fold it.
Right, so now which way is considered the side?
I think it's the same, no?
It's not the same. I don't think so.
Why not?
I haven't put on towel since this morning, so I don't know.
You can't remember?
I don't know. No.
It's not something we think about.
Anyways, okay. So then the next thing, Sif Dalit, once we're on the subject, we'll just continue it.
Where are you, Yaakov?
Now we're just starting Sif Dalit, Siman Tes Sif Dalit. Yeah. So in Bishas Kshira Satzitzios, Hayanekav Rocha Kshira. Okay, let's go back to the hands-on over here. Where to go? Hey, this is where there's a lot of confusion. So if right now it's kosher, right? And we said that the maximum it can be from the corner, l'chatchila, is let's say right about here, right? Give or take, right about here. What happens if it, right, this talus gets torn and it gets torn all the way to the corner? Kosher or not kosher?
At the time you made it, it was kosher.
So at the time, since at the time you made it, it was kosher. So therefore, it doesn't make a difference. The only time it's going to become puzzle is once it gets ripped and totally gets removed. So it comes out to lichatchila, as long as it's higher than around about here, it's kosher. Once it gets torn, then it can tear all the way to the edge. So a lot of people are not aware of that. And what they do is they end up throwing out the tzitzis because they think it's puzzle, because they hear that the shear is this amount, and then it gets torn to there. No, that's only lechatchila when you're making the tzitzis in the first place. Once it was there in the proper place, then it can get torn all the way to the edge. And you don't have to throw it out, not only that, but you could sew the hole up. That's not tasav eloimin asui, because it's kosher that way. Right? Since it's kosher, you can sew it up. Right? Let's see. In b'shas kshiras hatzitzis, at the time that you tie the tzitzis, hayanekav rocha kshir, the nekev is distanced the proper amount. Va'achar kach nikra kitzas hanekev ha'sfas hatalis, and then after that, the hole got torn, or the edge of the talis got torn. Acha tzitza hi b'pachas mishir harichut mayakotze, right? Where still the tzitz is less than the shear that's distance from the edge. Lo nifsala b'kach, it doesn't become puzzle like that. Ki lo yikvida Torah ela teyatzitza tachas hakonav ela b'shas asiyah. The Torah was only makbid that it should be done when the tzitzis are made. Once they were made properly, we don't care what happens after that. Shanema, because it says, "Ba'asu lohem tzitzis al kanfei v'gdem." You have to make the tzitzis on the corner. It says, but still, what you should do, and that's what I think most Talaisim also have, is you should have an extra, an imra, like we call it a lip, an edge, whatever it is, an extra reinforcements, right? Reinforcements. Yeah. Saviv hanekev, around the hole, v'chein b'sfas hatalis, shelo yifchas mishir kesher agadol, so that it shouldn't go below that shear. Right, so meaning lichatchila, don't have it go below that shear, right? But if it does go below that shear, then your tzitzis are gonna be kosher. Okay, I guess we'll stop here. All right. Okay, I'll be back on in a couple.
What time do you think you start the daf?
5 minutes. I can whatever. I'm gonna jump in the car right now.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Jesse, you're very makbid like in tzitzis. You always have an extra shot to protect the first shot. You have an extra imra for this first shot.
Absolutely.
Oh, was that a pun? Absolutely.
It is now.
Jesse, don't drink vodka.
We can still make the joke, dear Aruch.
If there's nothing else there, I'll have.